In the previous video, we scrutinized drivers trying to beat an amber traffic light. In this video, we're covering something that's even more dangerous, drivers trying to beat a red traffic light. And the reason it's more dangerous is because unlike an amber or orange traffic light, there is more of a time tolerance that gives a driver a bit more leeway as to passing through the intersection. So in the previous video, if you haven't seen it yet, I advise you go and have a look at it, because there I cover the question as to whether it's safe to go or to stop when an amber light is shining in your direction. So how do you determine whether it's safe to go or stop? So that's covered in a fair amount of detail, but nonetheless, it does give the driver a bit more time as to crossing that intersection. When it comes to a red traffic light and a driver trying to beat a red traffic light, there is no time tolerance. On red, a driver should be stopping. So anytime he tries to beat a red traffic light, that's actually a dangerous time where vehicles approaching from right angles to that driver would now be likely to enter that intersection, and so it increases the chances of a collision within the intersection. Now, we've got a few animations depicting different scenarios, and in the next animation I'm going to highlight a very important point which I want to be the main takeaway from this video covering red traffic lights. Nonetheless, let's have a look at this first animation. So we see at this point we've got the driver of the red vehicle traveling in this direction, and this is the traffic light that pertains to traffic moving in this direction. Another red vehicle traveling at right angles to this vehicle, and this is the traffic light that pertains to this driver. So at this point it's green for this driver and red for this driver. We'll just progress it slightly. Now it's turned amber for this driver and still red for this driver. So now this driver could at this point be seeing that it's amber and maybe even tries to accelerate in order to make it through the intersection. But notice that he's quite a distance from the intersection, so he should at this point really start slowing down. Progress a bit further, and so now what happens at this point, it's already turned red. This driver should be stopping. Had he slowed down for the amber, but maybe, as I said, he's starting to accelerate to try and make it through the intersection. This driver has timed his movement or his run to catch the traffic light as soon as it goes green. Now, what he may have done is, in his approaching the intersection, had a look at the traffic light on the diagonal side that pertains to traffic moving in this direction, saw that it had turned amber, so he then anticipated his run, seeing the amber, that it was going to go green at the exact point where he now needs to enter the intersection. But because of his motion and his movement, now he enters the intersection fairly quickly, and so this driver is not anticipating that, tries to still get through the intersection on red, and there's a collision in the center. So be careful of drivers trying to beat the traffic light going red, but also be cautious and don't enter the intersection as soon as the traffic light goes green. So here we've got a real life clip, and I'll notice the camera was in the left lane and is moving over into the adjacent right-hand lane. Now, in a previous video covering intersections, I always caution against changing lanes just before entering an intersection. You find that this creates a number of dangerous scenarios, so don't do that. Nonetheless, this driver has gone ahead and has moved into the right-hand lane. Now notice the traffic light is green for him. It's turned green, so he's trying to catch the traffic light as soon as it turns green. But because he's moving into the far side of the intersection, his visibility is blocked because of this stationary vehicle, of any vehicles approaching from the left-hand side. So he's caught the traffic light as soon as it goes green, enters the intersection, and here we've got a vehicle from the side trying to beat the red traffic light, and they collide in the center. Second real life clip, same thing. Camera is now moving into the adjacent lane to the right. And notice as we progress that the traffic light is red, it's gone amber, and you'll see that just prior to entering the intersection, he's trying to time it, that he catches it exactly on green there. But once again, a driver from the side at right angles trying to beat the red traffic light, and so they collide in the center. So the point here is, don't enter the intersection as soon as the traffic light goes green, because there could be the chance of somebody trying to beat the red traffic light, and you're going to land up in this situation. In the second animation, we've got something that's just a little bit similar, but also a little bit different to the previous animation. So it's similar in that we've got vehicles approaching from these two directions, but different in that the driver of the blue vehicle is now stationary, waiting at the intersection. And what I want to highlight in this animation, and which is the main point to take away from this video on red traffic lights, and this is the point: once a traffic light goes green for you, never, never, never assume that it's safe for you to go. So just because it's green doesn't mean it's safe for you to go. Always check before entering an intersection after the traffic light has gone green. So it's turned green for you. You check first of all to see that it's clear, and only then do you enter the intersection. Now, what I want you to try and do and try and build up this mindset is that you're waiting at a traffic light, it turns green for you, and before you go, you must almost have this anticipation or feeling that there is a vehicle approaching from the side. So you almost feel like you're going to be collided with. And if you develop that mindset, then it makes you a lot more cautious in now checking to see if there are vehicles actually coming. If you don't develop this sort of inherent fear of something approaching from the side, well, then you're going to become too lackadaisical in just crossing without really checking. But if you've got this feeling of dread that there is something going to impact you from the side, then each time you get to an intersection, the traffic light goes green, you've got this feeling, just an instantaneous feeling. Well, then you're reminded to check first, and only if it's safe, then you go ahead on the green. And so that's what we're trying to demonstrate over here. So you see the driver's approaching, it's turned amber. He should be slowing down because he's still a distance from the intersection, but decides to try and beat the traffic light. Gone red for him, now green for the driver of the blue vehicle. He's just assuming, because it's green for him, that it's safe to go, and catches the driver trying to beat the red traffic light. Real life clip depicting this. Now I've included this clip for an additional ancillary reason to what we're discussing in the animation. If you have a look at the scenario here, and I've studied it quite carefully, this piece of footage, it's hard to see the red traffic light. And the point that I want to make is that where you've got a lot of signage around that's red in color, it actually tends to hide a red traffic light. So it's actually very bad to have such red dots of color surrounding an intersection, because it tends to obscure that red traffic light. However, this footage does depict what we've seen in the animation. The camera does get to try and cross on red, so it tries to beat the red traffic light. We'll see vehicles on the side here for whom the light does go green, and assuming that it's green, they just go ahead thinking that it's safe to do so. Now notice this vehicle that's on the far side of the vehicle that's closer to the inner portion of the intersection. His vision is obscured of any vehicles now approaching from his left. And so because of that, he doesn't really notice the camera coming along, maybe just keeping his eye on the traffic light, sees it goes green, moves ahead. This driver has obviously seen the camera and so hangs on for the camera to pass, but he's oblivious of the camera, tries to catch it on green, and so collides with the camera who's trying to beat the red traffic light. In the next animation, what we have here is frustration as a result of blocking. So you'll see that for the driver of the blue vehicle, the traffic light's actually green. So he has the right to go ahead, but he's held up because of these vehicles that are blocking the intersection. You see it's red for them, but they're still blocking. He tries to crawl across. It's now turned amber for him, and for these other vehicles, still red. So he hangs on for the last vehicle to pass. In the interim, it's now turned red for him, whereas it's turned green for traffic moving in this direction. So we have the driver of the red vehicle coming up the side. It's green for him. He thinks it's safe to go. This driver is frustrated because he's been blocked at the intersection, waiting for the last vehicle to pass, and tries to make it across. So tries to beat the red and gets caught in the intersection. So just be careful of blocking in an intersection, because it can be confusing that drivers may be frustrated. They've been held up quite a bit. They're forced to have to try and be more decisive in trying to cross. And so because of that, it creates a bit of a dangerous scenario. We see that the traffic light is green for this oncoming vehicle. We have a vehicle that is entering from the side here. Was no doubt blocked because of this line of traffic. And so perhaps he'd been waiting there for some time. He's forced to have to try and make it across. But he's obscured because of the line of vehicles that are going in this direction. So as he crosses through the braking traffic there, he now hits the other vehicle that has the right of way on the green traffic light. So where you see this scenario, if you were this driver, then be cautious in approaching the intersection, because of this very situation where we might have a vehicle trying to make its way through the line of traffic is obscured, and so suddenly appears on the other side of the intersection. So just watch out for this scenario. Whenever you're crossing an intersection and we've got other traffic blocking the intersection, be cautious that there may be vehicles trying to make their way through that gap. In the next animation, we've got, once again, same satellite view. We see that for the driver of the blue vehicle, it's now red. The driver of the red vehicle, it's turned amber. It should be a case of this driver now stopping because it turned red for him. This driver was in motion, and because it's green now for him, goes ahead. And what I want to just depict in this animation, which is a little bit different from a previous one covering a similar sort of situation, is that this driver is now turning to his left. Unlike previously where he just went ahead straight, he's now turning to his left. Now this is a little bit more dangerous because it makes it a bit more awkward for a driver who's now turning at an angle into the intersection to actually look over his shoulder to the right. So, because the more he's angled, the more difficult it is to now look over the shoulder. And so he may just be interested in what's happening to the left of him because he's going to be turning left. Maybe just be interested in what's happening this side of the intersection to see that it's clear to go, and now forgets to check to his right. And because of the driver of the red vehicle trying to beat the red traffic light, they collide. So in this real life clip, it demonstrates it a little bit better because we see that the road entering from the side isn't at 90 degrees, but is actually at more of an obtuse angle. And so the vehicle is now facing away from any vehicles entering from the right-hand side. So unlike being 90 degrees where it's easier now to check to your right, because you're more angled towards the left, you've got to turn a lot more to look over your shoulder and see if there's vehicles coming from the right. And so that makes it more dangerous because the driver's less likely to do that. And that's exactly what happens. We see that it's red for the cam and another vehicle just to the right of him wanting to enter the intersection. Goes amber, now turns green, and you can see this vehicle's already in motion and catches the green light exactly at the point where he's now going to enter into the intersection. Because of his motion, he now enters into the intersection fairly quickly, but there's a truck trying to beat the red traffic light, and so they collide there, just at that point. So just to repeat the point, when a traffic light goes green, never assume that it's safe to enter the intersection. Always check first, and have this feeling of trepidation that there is going to be a vehicle colliding with you. And as I said, that makes you more likely to check then, and it makes it safer before you enter an intersection. In this next animation, what we have is something a little bit similar. Driver of the blue vehicle wanting to turn to the left. Driver of the red vehicle now trying to beat the red traffic light, and so they collide in the intersection there. But what I wanted to demonstrate in that animation, as well as this real life clip, because it looks similar to what we had in the previous animation, is just the intention of the driver in crossing the traffic light. So maybe a driver is trying to beat a red traffic light, but you get other drivers that actually don't care. So they know that the traffic light is red. So in this real life clip, we've got the camo who's actually stopped here. So we'll see a driver coming from the right-hand lane, so just to the right of him, and he blatantly disregards the red traffic light. He can't be unaware of it because the camo had actually stopped. But nonetheless, just disregards what's happening and shoots across. So it's not even like he's trying to beat the red traffic light. He's just being careless and blatantly disregarding the rules of the road, just shoots across. So we've got to be careful of those drivers who've just got no respect or regard for life. And it often happens with me. And I'm going to include footage on the website. I've got a section there under real life trips. And I'm gathering footage as I'm going along, because it often happens to me where I do stop at a traffic light where it is red like this, and you've just got other drivers that blatantly go ahead despite the fact that it is red, don't care what happens. They just want to go across, and their interests are paramount to them, don't care what happened to others. And so that's the point of the animation and this real life clip. So we just got to be cautious of those ones. I'll put a link in the description section of this video below that will point towards that section on the website where I cover real life trips, and it's a work in progress. So as I'm going along, I'm collecting all different pieces of footage, and so as I get them and I get enough little clips together, I'll upload them to the website. So just keep an eye on that space, and in time you'll find more and more footage will be uploaded to that. Please like, subscribe, and get notified.